last few minute corrections and additions and changes. So, hey, this is nice. We got a nice little crowd here tonight for several reasons. This is exciting. If you would, please stand for their prayer and pledge.
Look at all aspects of the situation and make the best decision possible. We ask that you be with our country and bless this country for our military, our service personnel, the police and the fire, and all that they do for us. What a blessing they are.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Madam Clerk, we have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Brill?
Here.
Councilmember Bessel?
Here.
Councilmember Paulus?
Here.
Councilmember Pennington?
Here.
Councilmember Kraft?
Here.
Councilmember Myers?
Here.
Councilmember Davidson?
All right. Are there any agenda modifications to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll let it stand as stated. Is there an executive session request for this evening?
Yes, there is. To consider the employment or compensation of a public employee or official, pending or imminent litigation with attorney, and to consider confidential information related to the specific business strategy or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance or negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance. Thank you.
I'd like to move for executive session for the reasons stated by the city manager.
Second.
Motion second, roll call.
Councilmember Brill?
Yes.
Councilmember Bessel?
Yes.
Councilmember Paulus?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraft?
Yes.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Davidson?
All right. Right along, we have some special presentations. By the way, if anybody did not get, there is an agenda back there on both sides. So if you want to walk along with us, there's agendas back in those little boxes back there. We have a couple things going on. This first one is, if any other family members want to join you up here, you guys are welcome to come up. Family members, friends, the whole gang. This is something to be extremely proud of, so we hope to get you all up here for pictures and everything. So cool. All right. Well, first of all, this is Beth Hensley, the wife of a former city employee who was a friend of mine, a friend of a lot of the people here. I can't tell you how many people in the community has called me on this. He was an electrical inspector for the city, and as late as about 3 o'clock today, a guy from the Union Hall called me and said, you know, we run across inspectors, as you know, in every city and county. But they loved coming here because Dave was the one that knew the book. He knew it in Ohio, he knew it in Fairfield, and he said, we always trusted everything he told us, and that speaks volumes. My brother Ken is an electrician and went to school with him. Of course, we graduated 2 years apart, and echoed the same sentiments. So what I'd like to do is, in honor of Dave, I'd like to read something because he did something that's pretty paramount here. Excuse me. This is from the office of the mayor. Whereas Dave Hensley, a dedicated and respected employee of the city of Fairfield, passed away on October 29th, 2024 after a courageous battle with cancer. And whereas Dave served the city's as the city's electrical inspector for an exemplary 26 years, demonstrating unwavering commitment to his duties and a profound dedication to public service. And whereas Dave's perfect attendance record of 26 years, that's amazing. That just is amazing. 26 years is a testament to his exceptional work ethic, reliability, and passion for his job here at Fairfield. Whereas Dave was highly respected by his colleagues and peers for his extensive knowledge, professionalism, and friendly demeanor. And whereas the city of Fairfield extends its deepest condolences to Dave's family, friends, and loved ones during this difficult time. Now, therefore, I, Mitch Rodas, Mayor of the City of Fairfield, Ohio, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, a day to honor the life of Dave Hensley. In the City of Fairfield, Ohio, further, we recognize his invaluable contributions to our community and express our sincere gratitude for his unwavering dedication to this city of Fairfield. Also, he turned in all his keys, but here's the big one that really counts. The key to the city. How about that? And I have a plate that's coming to be on the back of that. That way, you can kind of get it from there. And this is in recognition of Dave's retirement. There's a gift thing in there for you to put your token gift and time you let us spend with him. Thanks again. Thank you again. Beth, would you want to say something? I didn't mean to do that.
I'd just like to thank everybody here. I see so many familiar faces that I've seen for the decades. People who started out, I remember Jeff McLeese when he didn't have gray hair. And I remember other people when they had more hair. And so, I'm a Fairfield kid. I grew up here. My father was an electrical contractor. My grandfather was an electrical contractor. And he was very proud of every moment he ever spent in the city of Fairfield. He looked at this job, as I think all people should, that it was a privilege to work here. And he wanted always to put his best foot forward for the city of Fairfield to represent them. Thank you so much.
Bless you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Next, we have a policeman swearing in ceremony. Sir, if you want to come up, and if any of your family members want to come, or if anybody here in the family wants to take pictures of you, you're welcome to walk around the room, do anything you want. This room is yours. How's that? Okay. All righty.
All right, so tonight I'm excited to introduce you to one of our newest police officers. This is Cameron Roberts. Cameron comes to us from the city of Middletown, where he was a police officer for a few years. Cameron's a Fairfield graduate, and he's also a veteran of the United States Air Force. He's with his father tonight, Bert, who will be pinning his badge. Bert has also spent his career in law enforcement. He originally retired from the Springfield Township Police Department, and most recently retired as the chief of police in Ross Township. So with that, I'll pass it off to the mayor for the oath.
Congratulations, young man. How are you? Good, good. All right, I'll make this simple to read after me, okay? We're simple here. All right, I, Cameron Paul Roberts, do solemnly swear, raise your right hand, that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the state of Ohio, and the charter and ordinances of the city of Fairfield, Ohio, and that I will faithfully, honestly, impartially discharge the duties of police officer for the city of Fairfield, Ohio, during my continuance in said office. Congratulations, young man. done that a few times probably, huh? Just hit it real hard there. That would do good. Good job. We're gonna need All right. Environmental Commission is going to do a present. Ken, are you going to do that? Okay. I'll let you guys take this.
On behalf of the Environmental Commission, I wanted to introduce to you Alex Mayer, who has been a super volunteer here in Fairfield. Alex has single-handedly taken care of the trails that we have up in Harbin Park, all the mountain bike trails. If you look at the website that describes these trails, you'll see comments that people have made like very well maintained. And it's all due to Alex. He single-handedly has spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours working on maintaining our trails, and not only here, but also up at Houston Woods. And Alex he's just a tireless worker. We've gotten a chance to work together on multiple projects, but ever since he retired from P&G, he has dedicated himself to maintaining our trails here in Fairfield. And we wanted to present to him tonight a Friends of the Forest Award from the Environmental Commission.
Present this to you from the Environmental Commissioner for the City of Fairfield, Alex Mayer, for being a trailblazer. Thank you.
Yeah, honeysuckle seems to want to grow. Yeah, the goal is to not have the trails be tunnels of honeysuckle and have actually be able to see the woods and have some of our native plants grow rather than be choked out. So, the goal. I think I've won some battles. I'm going to lose the war.
Keep at it.
He's been doing it for 15 years, so that's
Yeah.
I thought I've seen for, yeah.
Hey, you see me at the occasional park board meeting.
I do, or around it down there, so that's cool. Well, thank you very, very much. Much appreciated. Much well earned. Cool. Thank you very much. Next, we have a presentation by Miami University. I'm going to let you guys come up to the podium and it's queued up. All righty.
Good
It's all
evening.
yours, sir.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys. On behalf of Dean Andy, our vice president, he actually had a family emergency. He was going to be presenting. So I'm pitching in. We were going to co-present, but he definitely sends his greetings as well. And we really want to talk to you today just briefly about having a City of Fairfield College Promise in partnership with Miami University Regionals. We coined it Miami Fairfield Promise, and what it is it is a 2 to 4 year program. It'll allow kids to be able to go to Fairfield High School and then attend Miami University for 2 to 4 years. But these will be your most at-risk or at-need Pell Grant eligible students, because what we find is that 100% Pell does cover our tuition, but there are a large number of kids whose families just in that Goldilocks zone where they don't get 100%. So they have about a $3,500 deficit, and that's the number one reason why they don't complete college. So we want to raise those college going rates and also attainment rates by filling in that gap so that those students can have a tuition promise to be able to graduate and remove that barrier and of course, increase access. We are looking for the city as a partner in this endeavor. We've been successful to date, partnering with the city of Hamilton and Middletown on similar endeavors, and we are seeing great results so far from those. And then moving forward, why would you want to do this? What is the importance of a college degree? As many of you might know, it's economic development. At the end of the day, why does it make sense for the city? On this graph, you will see the median household income at 67,000, and then also the per capita income at 37,000 for the city of Fairfield, and a bachelor degree attainment rate of about 30%. That's coming from our recent Census Bureau track. The average salary for our Miami graduates that are graduating, not overall alum, but the graduates as a whole of that recent year of seniors is about 54,000. It seems to fluctuate between 52, 57 every year since I've been here at Miami. And with a high school diploma, the average salary is about 25,000. So we can see some similarities. Fairfield's on a great trend. Some of the other cities, our conversations, to be frank, were a little bit different. We want to try to help you get on the right trend, but we want to contain that momentum, continue with that, because we can see of sister cities like a Westchester and Mason. As you see college bachelor degree attainment rates go up, the overall per capita median income and median income also goes up as well. And then if you look at the outcomes, I just want to let you know that also business growth. One of the things that, as you will probably hear today, I heard some business presenting, but as they come and attract, they're always looking for talented workforce to see if your city's prepared to meet the demand of talent that they need. Also, they're looking at trends with your city. Which direction is it going? Is it growing in a rate that we feel like we can have sustainable workforce talent in the future? Economic growth within itself, with more college degrees, as we've seen median incomes and per capita incomes go up, well, that's more taxable dollars for you guys to do more, hire more police officers like we had tonight, coming in and making a great impact in the community. Consumer spending, supporting small business. So those are the ones that are going to live here, work here, and shop here, and also continue to rise in property value as home ownership and taking care of that. And also your crime rates continue to stay low, because as home ownership rates go up, crime goes down. So we want to keep that here in the city of Fairfield. And then personal health, you can talk about lifespan, you can talk about K-12 readiness for kindergarten readiness, and also quality of job. So kids have the opportunity. I'm a big proponent that college not for everyone, but anyone can succeed in college with the right supports. And also continuing education past career tech. I think that's a great option for some. But what I've realized and seen some people run into is that as they want to go to that next level, they do need that college degree to kind of be qualified for that higher managerial type of roles. And we have some great manufacturing companies here in the city of Fairfield, but as they continue to grow within the company, a lot of times those are some of the qualifiers. The requirements for this is pretty, we try to keep it a low floor, because we do not want to turn away students. We do want to help students get in. So we are looking at City of Fairfield residents. That means they would have to be in the city. Unfortunately, we will not include the township at this time, because we are talking to the city. We work with every city. We have not did a model yet to work with townships, but we understand that it's taxpayers' dollars, and we want to be respectful of those that we're giving back to those who are actually putting into the funding. The GPA is 2.5 for high school students, and there would have to be full-time degree-seeking students, and they would have to maintain a 2.0 GPA at Miami, and also be Pell Grant eligible. And we have a ton of wraparound services for these students so that they can be successful, and we will be looking at starting this in fall 2025. Miami has skin in this game too as well. We will see a slide in a second showing you kind of like the outcome breakdown, but we will apply merit scholarships, because if these students can take any CCP class with us, we give them $2,000. We also will honor their grade GPA, so if they come in at a certain GPA, we give them dollars for that too. And any third-party scholarships, all that's applied before the last dollar scholarship, what this would be in this program. So we really try to make sure we're all working as a part of, we all have skin in the game, and they would be limited to 4 years, 8 semesters. So it's not something that you can do for 20 years. That we have to make sure that we keep this be good stewards and keep this opportunity for the next ones that are coming up in the next cohort. So to break down this cost, I only had 10 minutes. So I'm sorry for flying, but I want to give you guys a chance to answer questions.
It's important stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We would start with a small cohort of 5. The estimated cost would be about $17,500, and that number comes from about the $3,500 per student. We have commitment from the Fairfield Community Foundation already to split this cost at $8,750. So we would ask the city of Fairfield for initial years to split the cost $8,750, and as the program progresses, the cohort models, they would stay the same. We would keep the numbers right there around 5, 10, 15, 20. And then you can see the estimated costs increasing every year and being split between the Fairfield Community Foundation and the City of Fairfield for the ask. And then on our end too, what we have seen in another city that we did this, a donor seen this program happening and they actually came up and said, you know what, we want to see more kids go and end up sponsoring about 15 more slots with a $375,000 gift, endowing it. So this is a gift that's going to keep on giving because taxable income, and it's another partnership between us, the foundation, and the city. And we are asking for your support to consider it and support Mr. Timmer as he works with us on this as well. And I'm here for any questions. And I also have my colleagues, I'm sorry, remiss to not talk about Eric and Yvette's here with me. And Eric is our senior admission and enrollment director. So he has a lot of stats and data if you need it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I agree and think it's very important that we invest in our youth always. How long has this program been in place?
So we just rolled this out last year. So we have our inaugural group of students. Start the first year freshmen. They will be ending this fall. Will be their first year, and then this fall coming up, Middletown starting their first cohort too as well. Sorry.
That's okay. So I think you said it's been very successful. How are you measuring the success?
Students, so their GPAs, their grades, they're performing very well, and they're also maintaining their enrollment. We haven't had to cut nobody at all. So those have been two things that I guess you would say are KPIs on the program right now.
Okay. I think that kind of answers the other questions that I had here, actually.
Hey, Eric, we're
Yeah.
recording this, so why don't you go up there too?
Hey, we had 35 students from our first partner with Hamilton, and they retained to the second semester too. So it's in their inaugural year, but we're seeing-
35 students
From Hamilton.
from Hamilton?
Yeah, Pell eligible is a criteria. So.
How does the city get the feedback or the input on how the students are doing, how that return on investment is? How does that work?
That would be in reports from us and partnerships and communications that we would send at the end of the year.
So at the end of the year, it goes to the city manager, or how's that work? What's the mechanism there?
So at the end of the year, our first partner is the Fairfield Community Foundation because what we would ask is that you guys, so to hold us accountable, the funds be funneled through the Fairfield Community Foundation. So if we don't have the number of students that we promised, well, then they would have that and be able to restrict giving it to us on that end. And we're required to do a report out to them as a donor to be able to say, how many kids did we serve? What was the GPA? And the city manager could also we would copy him on that easily, yes.
Thank you.
Sammy, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a display to show that the students who are a part of the program more than likely would not have had the opportunity to attend college, correct, due to financial reasons?
Yes, absolutely. So the biggest thing, how this came about was making sure college is more accessible. A lot of kids' barriers is finances. We have heard countless stories of students when we have opportunities like this, like Work Plus, and we have many other tools in our toolbox, try to help students make college more affordable. But this one right here is to help those kids that saying, you know what, I can't go nowhere, I have no other options. My family can't afford it, but you have an opportunity to get this scholarship that's going to promise you an opportunity to move forward. And of course, you know, promise programs sometimes fail because they try to do Kalamazoo and try to make them statewide. We've found our niche to be able to say, you know what, we have a great program. You get a Miami University degree that's world-class, known over across the world, and you get to graduate with the same graduate, you get the same professors as any other student. So it's a high-quality opportunity for our students and our residents here in Fairfield.
One more question. It might have been on the slide and I missed it, but what other criteria does the student have to meet? In other words, do they have to obtain a certain score on the ACT, or does Miami even go by those test scores anymore?
Oxford would, but not regionals. So we do not require that. That's waived right now currently as it stands. And also we're open enrollment. So really a kid, as long as they get their GED or their high school diploma, they can attend Miami University. But in this program, you would, of course, have to have your high school diploma because it'd be a Fairfield high school graduate. So it's not going to be for like, I graduated 2 years ago. Now I'm thinking about going back. You have to kind of continue that pathway right out of high school because we're trying to create a pathway for you so you can see a roadmap. And that kind of disrupts that roadmap and also takes away opportunity for somebody in the future that's coming up behind you. So we thought that was best practices.
So, and this question is for Mr. Timmer, actually. Are you aware of any other universities that are partnering with the Fairfield Community Foundation for this program? For example, UC, what's to prevent them from asking us to do something similar, or?
I'm not aware of any others that are currently doing it, but nothing would prevent them from trying to start a similar program.
One other question. What is the cutoff for Pell Grants?
It is a complicated formula based on the FAFSA. It depends on the estimated family income and the size of the household. So when that opened in December, we're starting to get those FAFSAs now, but usually around March, we'll be able to identify who qualifies for different levels of Pell Grant. So one of the things, just a comment too about the Pell Grant and why this program is unique in that sense, is that Miami Regionals, our tuition rate in the Pell, what our average Pell Award per student is, and what Sammy was saying with how using our current scholarship funds, it's covering that final gap. So that gap is relatively small compared to a lot of universities. Students attend regionals for less than $8,000 a year with the average award of $3,500 and then merit on top of that. So it's the final few dollars. That's why I think this program is unique in that sense, because there is a gap where these students who are the highest need with the Pell eligible amounts, but just covering that extra little bit makes the difference.
And I think I'm so sorry. I have so many questions.
This is
That was
good.
great, good dialogue.
So it also mentioned tuition and fees. What are fees?
So fees are instructional fees that are oftentimes charged. Like if you see your bill at the end with your financial aid package, those would be included in this program, so they wouldn't have those fees. Only thing a student would be left with at this point would be their books, and that's not covered. The books, just because it's just the way it had to be because of the imbalance of what that could be and that financial burden of making it work. But the tuition and fees, they would have a tuition-free degree. So that would be it's all round up in tuition. Sorry, that was too long-winded. I hope we answered your question too. It's dependent upon what the federal government sets as a guideline, they move, and then also dependent upon each individual, because case by case. Some families might have 8 kids and 1 parent, 2 parents, 2 kids. So it kind of varies with them.
Is the entire program have to be done at the regional?
Yes, for the promise portion, we have discussed maintaining if a student had to complete, so for some strange reason, like a farmer school business degree, and they had to go there, that we would maintain their level of scholarship that we awarded, but we would not cover the gap of the University of Oxford, because it extremely changes the whole conversation when you start talking their tuition rates.
I think you guys said this, and apologies if you did, I just didn't pick it up. If a student was in the middle of it and failed to hit the 2.0 GPA min, what happens to that student? Are they on probation? And what happens to the monetary piece that's been committed?
So they would have the whole school year to finish and get it back right. So if it's like the first semester and they I don't know if I hit something, but it was the first semester and they didn't maintain their 2.0, they would have the second semester to make it up and get it right. But after that first year, if you don't do that, then unfortunately this is a competitive program. It's limited in funding and resources, so we want to make sure that we're going to try to give them the supports they need. And when we realize their GPA is falling, and we're tracking these kids, so we're not going to be surprised at the end, like, oh, at the end of the semester, we're doing touch points with them throughout the year to see where they're at, and just like we do our ECA students. And we're going to be able to tell them, hey, you might need to go spend some extra time in learning assistance to get some tutoring help. You have these resources available to you. If a student fails to utilize those and meet the criteria, we got to hold them accountable, just like we got to hold ourselves accountable. And our goal is to allow be a resource and make them take this opportunity seriously and perform.
So is there a financial disincentive to the student directly if they don't keep up? Is there a consequence?
Yes, they would lose their financial aid. A lot of that criteria is based on the federal guidelines for satisfactory academic progress. So in order to get a Pell Grant, you need to maintain progress towards the degree. The federal government doesn't just continue awarding the Pell Grant if a student isn't progressing in their college career. So as part of the promise criteria, it's matching what would be the same as the Pell Grant criteria so that the award package sticks with the students. And unfortunately, we do have students who have to go through those periods where, you know, they don't maintain their eligibility for financial aid, and that creates a different problem. But this is set up in a way to help the students who are starting and continuing on with good financial standing.
I have a question.
All right,
I had one
okay.
question. You touched on it a little bit about the tutoring. Is the tutoring part of the process that is included in the
Yeah, so.
package?
Yeah, tutoring is a service that every student has access to. And what we will do with these students is that they're cohort models, so they have like a special ceremony at the beginning of the year. We make it a big deal for them and celebrate them. And the other thing is that they will have access to that, so we'll make sure they know who to talk to, how to sign up for the tutor, how to schedule that time, and all the tools they have on campus. Even if it's like finding a job, career services, they have access to that too. We have a ton of internships, opportunities for students to be able to start getting work. They need hard time trying to find employment. We have a food pantry. So we have a lot of different things on campus that these kids have access to if they need those extra supports.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
What's
you.
your time frame for a commitment from us?
So we love to know as soon as possible because that right there will set the timeline for us to be able to say, can we start in fall 2025 or not? Because we had to first let the counselors know at the city of Fairfield High School to be able to say, you need to let these kids know this scholarship and then also apply and then go through that process of getting their federal aid package in to see if they're even eligible. And so that right there kind of dictates our timeline where we could start either now and it always makes sense, I think, starting in the fall because high school graduation comes, right there. So this will push, if we don't do it soon, then it pushes out to 26, which, we were hoping 25.
All right. Anybody else?
I just want to say thank you both for coming. I think it's a pretty cool program. We have the blessing of having not only the regional campus very close to Fairfield, but a lot of students in the high school can benefit from that. So appreciate you bringing it to us.
Thank you. And one thing I did fail to mention was that the Vora Park, our new project there, was going to be huge for this opportunity because a lot of our students can go right into there and get in-demand job skills, either even through the trade process of it or either working right with our engineering department, and we have commerce in there as well. That will literally translate to opportunities right here in the city of Fairfield. That is like the new, I don't know if you guys heard of it, probably have, but it's been a hot buzz around the state of Ohio, and a model for this nation. Actually, it's the only one of a kind where you have university, career tech, and also literally like P&G and employers like that coming in the building, working side by side on projects with students. So this is another, just when you talk about advanced manufacturing, getting your workforce ready, this is just rocket fuel for that too, with that opportunity too as well.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Go Redskins.
Thanks.
Well, that's my age.
Red Hawks.
Some of us are Redskins. All right. Thank you guys for coming. Any citizen comments? All right. There is one elected official that's not even up here that's out in the audience. Elliot, if you want to stand up. Elliot is a Fairfield. He didn't know I was going to do this. So at least I'm not going to ask you to speech. But he is also a member of my mayor's youth commission, but he's also the Fairfield High School class president. So thank you for attending. So.
Well done.
All right, council reports. Down this side?
I don't have I just want to, I got this note, I think everybody got this note on something called civic clerk. In council, we get inundated with a bunch of documents that are all interconnected and so forth before. I think, Mayor, you've said this many times that sometimes the audience thinks that there's no preparation in the legislation and so forth what we're reading, and we do a lot of homework before that. And Alicia and I have had multiple conversations. How do you simplify this? How do you tie it all together and make it easy for a flow of information. And she has done that along with our city manager and a few others, Lance, our IT person, on launching this particular software. It's called Civic Clerk. It's phenomenal. And unfortunately, you're not able to see it. If you want to come over and take a look at it, but well done. I've asked a long time for this, and it's true innovation, effectiveness. You really simplify it, so thank you. Cool.
So-
I have.
On around, all good?
I do have an update on the Gray Road water main replacement. Contractors will be tying in the new water main for the residents of the Monastery subdivision. Are you paying attention over there, Tim?
I am. You got it.
And some residents on Gray Road and Lake Michigan drive tomorrow, Tuesday, December the 10th. The project will result in a temporary water outage and precautionary boil advisory. The estimated time for the work is 8 to 10 hours. The project is on schedule and Gray Road will be opened up for traffic by Monday, January the 6th. The road may be opened sooner if the contractors continue to make good progress, weather permitting.
So, Mr. Myers, you're gonna be out of water for like 3 days, so you're gonna be pretty good.
No, 8 to 10
8
hours.
I was waiting to see if he was awake.
Tim, I actually worked a deal, I should be honest about, that they're gonna divert the water to my house, so I apologize for your extended outage.
No problem. You're uphill. I want to see it. I want to watch it.
All
I
right,
have. Thank you.
thank you. Anything down there?
No report, Merry Christmas, and you're welcome.
All right.
I always have something to say.
Good, yes.
Okay.
All right, next is a public hearing on the 2025 operating budget. Madam Clerk, you want to read?
The City of Fairfield will hold a public hearing beginning at 6:00 p.m. on Monday, December 9th, 2024, in the council chambers of the Fairfield Municipal Building, 5350 Pleasant Avenue, Fairfield, Ohio. The purpose of the hearing is to receive written and oral comments from the public concerning the proposed annual operating budget for the year 2025 and the use of funds contained in the proposed budget, which is summarized below. A copy of this information, the entire budget, and additional background materials are available for public inspection weekdays from 8:00 a.m. to 5:00 p.m. at the Fairfield Municipal Building, 5350 Pleasant Avenue, Fairfield, Ohio, in the offices of the Finance Director and the Clerk of Council.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any comments on that? All right, we'll close that part of the public hearing. Now we have a joint public hearing with our Planning Commission. Madam Clerk, read a roll call.
Commissioner Medler, Commissioner O'Brien, Commissioner Hassler, Commissioner Lepsky, Commissioner Davidson, Commissioner Myers, Commissioner Robertson.
Motion and second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Madam, for a presentation.
I'm going to defer to Ms. Wilson to read the public hearing notices into the agenda.
Aaron, you do need to read that first, don't you? She needs to read that first, my bad.
All property owners and citizens of Fairfield, Ohio are hereby notified that a joint public hearing between the Planning Commission and City Council has been scheduled for 6:00 p.m. on Monday, December 9th, 2024, at the Fairfield Municipal Building at 5350 Pleasant Avenue, Fairfield, Ohio, 45014. The purpose of the hearing is to solicit citizen input regarding the submission of a rezoning request for 5390 Dixie Highway, parcel ID A07000060000239. The request is to rezone the parcel from C3 General Business Zoning District to SE Suburban Entertainment District. Parties that wish to review the application may do so by visiting the Development Services Department located at the Fairfield Municipal Building or on the Development Services page on the city website at www.fairfield-city.org/devservices. Questions may be directed to the department by telephone at 513-867-5345 or via email at development@fairfieldoh.gov. The department is open Monday through Friday between the hours of 8:00 a.m. and 5:00 p.m. All property owners and citizens of Fairfield, Ohio are hereby notified that a joint public hearing between the Planning Commission and City Council has been scheduled for 6 o'clock p.m. on Monday, December 9th, 2024 at the Fairfield Municipal Building at 5350 Pleasant Avenue, Fairfield, Ohio 45014. The purpose of the hearing is to solicit citizen input regarding the submission of a rezoning request for 8686 Michael Lane, parcel ID A07000060000125 and A07000060000128. The request is to rezone the parcel from M2 General Industrial Zoning District to SE Suburban Entertainment District. Parties that wish to review the application may do so by visiting the Development Services Department located at the Fairfield Municipal Building or on the Development Services page on the city website at www.fairfield-city.org/devservices. Questions may be directed to the department by telephone at 513-867-5345 or via email at development@fairfieldoh.gov. The department is open Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 o'clock a.m. and 5 o'clock p.m.
Okay, before I start, I would like to introduce Bill Adams with representing the applicant. Once I'm done with the presentation, he will come up here to say a few words. I'm just going to jump right into it. I don't have a whole lot to say. The property that's proposed to be rezoned is located either in or adjacent to what I'm going to call the Jungle Gyms campus. There's multiple properties with different ownerships, but it basically all comes down to the same person. So we're just going to call it the campus. The zoning of the existing campus is zoned SE, so you can see, I'm not hooked up for some reason. Right, but on my screen, I have the aerial, and on the screen up here, it's not forwarding on the screen for the council to see. I think it's sat for too long. Here we go. Technical difficulties. Thank you, Jamal. So, again, as I mentioned, we're going to call it the Jungle Gym campus. The existing campus is zoned SE, so everything you kind of see in this peachy color from here to here, through here, and then this parcel over here where the daycare is, that's all zoned SE. The campus, well, first of all, the purpose of the SE Suburban Entertainment is to promote and protect certain land area for entertainment and commercial uses that are unique in nature and attract visitors from around the region. This campus was rezoned SE in 2003 when we created that zoning district. So that's kind of the background of the SE and when it happened. And right now, we only have one area of town that's zoned SE, and it is this area because of its unique nature of entertainment / commercial. It was the best fit for his business. There are two rezonings, essentially. One is the C3 and one is the M2. So I'm going to talk about the C3 first. The C3s, you can see it's kind of, it's a green outlined in red parcel. And there's a little bit of history of Michael Lane. So Michael Lane, for those of you who are my age or older, might remember that it used to be residential. It was about 10 houses on both sides of the street. Slowly, I think the Jungle Gym campus owners purchased those lots, and they have now kind of come down to just 3 houses on the left-hand side that still exist, and I believe they're rentals. Over the years, those have been removed. The houses have been removed on the right-hand side of Michael Lane, but those lots kind of still retained the commercial, the C3 zoning district. I'm not quite sure at the time why they weren't included. Based on historic aerials, I could tell that maybe the houses were still occupied, but maybe owned by the applicant. Not quite sure. But anyhow, at this time, the parcel that you can see outlined in red is actually the the driveway that comes into the Jungle Gyms campus. They're just looking to rezone that to kind of clean it up, just to have the whole entire operation under the same zoning district. You can see we have a small portion just north of that. That's actually on the Planet Fitness property, and then there's one just south of that on the GE Credit Union location. The second one that we're looking at is the M2. So that's the one obviously back here. You all might remember that that used to be a radio station with some maybe 4 or 5 towers. It's about 9.3 acres. The applicant had purchased that property over the summertime. They have since removed the structures that were there plus the towers. And really is looking ahead to develop this property. We're pretty much been told at this time that there's not really a proposed project for it, but the applicant has a desire to market it for commercial and entertainment uses, and that's not permitted on the M2. So in order to be able to do that and to be consistent with his plan and his marketing, he's just requesting to change that zoning to be consistent with the SC zoning district. That's the only slide I have, so this is like the shortest presentation I've done for you all. Tonight is the public hearing. Wednesday night is the Planning Commission. So they will meet the same time at 6 o'clock in this room. They'll decide on it, make a written recommendation back to you all for a second reading in January 13th, followed by the third reading and your vote on January 27th. I have a slide on comments and questions, but I'm going to go back to the aerial slide for any questions you may have. If not, I'll have Phil Adams speak to you.
Aaron, thanks for the information. Is that a subdivision above that? I probably should know that. What is trailer park? That's a trailer area there?
Yes.
What is from the look of this, it looks like it was right up against that property. Is that accurate?
It goes up against which property?
The
Yes, it
Pauline
does.
Drive, it's hard to see from here.
Yes.
Does that go right up against the
It
back
does.
of that?
It is adjacent to the mobile home park.
Okay.
Anything that gets developed there, we would probably have some sort of buffer for to screen the residential
Okay.
from the.
And I would
commercial.
assume the planning commission's gonna go through all that, but.
Right, but at this time, we don't have anything. And if it's a straight rezoning, it may not come to planning commission. It might be a staff review, and at that time, we make sure that it complies with the zoning code.
Thank you. Yeah, it's difficult to see. Thanks for the details.
All right. Any other questions?
The one piece of the C3 that we're doing, that was a former residence, right?
Correct.
And there's nothing on that lot anymore, it's just the driveway.
Correct. It is the driveway that takes you in.
Okay, so the one just to the left of it, still green, so I'm assuming that's still C3?
Yes.
And then there's a couple more down to the right of it that are still there. Why are we not looking to clean all that up at the same time?
Okay, so that's a good question. So the SC zoning district, and you really need to have 40 acres. That's kind of the minimum acreage that you need, and it needs to be under the same ownership or controlling parties. So the one located kind of to the north, that's on Planet Fitness. So that originally was part of the original rezoning, but it was sold off. Staff, and we're going to meet with our law department because we have a couple of questions because we did create a lot that's not under the continuous ownership for the Planet Fitness. So that probably should have been addressed at that time. The property to the south on the GE Credit Union, we had reached out to the applicant to see if they wanted to include that in the rezoning, and they had restated at this point in time, they did not want to include that. That might be a question you might want to ask Mr. Adams.
All right. Any other questions? All right, we'll close this public hearing.
Did you want to?
Oh, that's right, you want to do the other. That's right. Yeah. Actually, we open and close and keep them both open. Close them at the end.
Hello.
Hello.
So, obviously, we want to bring everything together here. The M2 came up last June out of the blue, and we jumped on it, wanted to purchase it, and now we're in dream stage trying to figure out what to do with it. We posted a sign, you know, what should we do with this space? We don't have anything at this point, so a lot of sketches and drawings, but nothing real. Like those high bounce balls with the edges on them, throw them in the box. That's our design concept.
That's jungle.
That's jungle, yes. So, yeah, the area M2, we need to bring that into our property. We know we can bring some cool ideas and projects and different developments into this area. We don't know what yet. Trying to find those individuals, restaurants, maybe a hotel, I doubt it, but yeah, just different things out there. Things that would help our campus, if you will. In the C3, that's a cleanup. That's just, at some point, we're gonna develop there. And the other one that you mentioned, that's on a leased property, so we don't wanna disturb that at this point, so. And the one in the Planet Fitness, that's not on our property, so.
Any other questions for the applicant? Any questions, anybody from the audience? It is a public hearing, so you're welcome to ask questions. There is a planning commission meeting 6 o'clock, Wednesday night, here. They'll go into this at much further detail, beat you up a little more. All right, hearing no comments from the audience, we close the public hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, before you are the minutes of the meeting of November 25th. Having any objections or deletions or additions, we'll have them stand as approved. Any old business? Development Services, Councilmember Davidson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an ordinance amending ordinance number 166-84, the codified ordinances of Fairfield, Ohio, section 1130.01B2, the city of Fairfield, Ohio, zoning map by approving the concept plan for the Whispering Hill planned unit development. That was the third reading, so this time I will move to adopt.
Motion second for adoption. Comments from council? Comments from audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All righty.
Perfect timing.
Good thing to get that done. Good thing. Glad you showed up, sir.
Yeah, I just apologize to them because I did not tell them that we changed the meeting time, so I'm glad they didn't drive all the way out to miss the vote, so.
Oh, perfect timing. Good. Well, there'll be a lot of people happy with this one.
Next, I have an ordinance amending ordinance number 166-84, the codified ordinances of Fairfield, Ohio, section 1130.01B2, the city of Fairfield, Ohio zoning map, and I'm holding this as a second reading pending planning commission approval.
All right. Moving on to new business.
I'd like to make a motion to read all new business by title only, please.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, Development Services, Mr. Timmer.
We have 3 ordinances tonight for development services. The third ordinance is to authorize the city manager to execute a utility easement agreement for the Wawa redevelopment at the corner of Route 4 and Sims Road. As part of the redevelopment, several old easements must be vacated and new easements created. The first and second ordinances will be presented by Nathaniel Kalin, Economic Development Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Timmer. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm excited to be here tonight to introduce the first item, which is an exciting project, the expansion of Schneider Electric in the city of Fairfield. Schneider Electric, as you may know, is a Fortune Global 500 company specializing in energy management and automation. The company has a facility in Fairfield currently at 5855 Union Center Boulevard, That's near our eastern border. It's a 225,000 square foot facility, and they've operated here since 2018. They currently have 169 employees in the city. In response to some changes in technology and consumer markets, Schneider has approached the city about making a substantial investment in the facility. This would include $9 million in building improvements, $16 million in machinery and equipment upgrades, for a total investment of $25 million to retool the facility. The upgrades would result in increased wages for the existing 169 employees, the creation of net new 100 jobs, for a total of 269 employees working within the city within 3 years of completion. That would give us an anticipated future payroll of nearly $15 million each year. To facilitate this expansion, Schneider has requested a job creation incentive. Based on our tax incentive guidelines, we are recommending a 36% 8-year job creation incentive grant. The way this incentive works is it would provide an annual grant to the company of up to 36% of their new municipal income tax that's collected from the increased payroll at the site. As you may recall, City Council established the job creation incentive program within the new tax incentive guidelines that were actually approved at the last first December meeting in December 2023. This would be the first job creation incentive project that we would have approved. Approval of the first item on tonight's Development Services agenda would authorize the city manager to execute the job creation incentive agreement with Schneider. We did compete with this project with other communities, so I'm really pleased that they've decided to do the project here in Fairfield, double down and continue to grow. The company unfortunately wasn't able to attend the meeting tonight, but they would hope to have council and officials from the community at their facility for a groundbreaking or some type of event in the future. So that's the first item. Very excited about that one. The second item is related to improvements on Seward Road. As you may recall, at the first November meeting, November 11th, City Council approved legislation to enter into an agreement with Al Nair Development related to improvements to Seward Road, which would help facilitate construction of a third building in Fairfield Logistics Park, which is the development within our JED with Fairfield Township. The state of Ohio has offered the city 2 economic development grants for this road work, which would make improvements north and south of the Norfolk Southern Railroad crossing. These state grants total $450,000 and would cover about 83% of the project cost. Al Nair will also contribute towards the project. So approval of that second ordinance would simply authorize the city manager to execute agreements to accept and administer those grants. If I can get one more second of council's time, as we wrap up the year, I just really wanted to celebrate the success of our fourth quarter in terms of economic development. Out of the last 4 council meetings, we've shared major new economic development projects at 3 of those meetings for HIP Promotional, Pacific Manufacturing, and now Schneider Electric. These expansion projects collectively represent more than $200 million in investment, will retain hundreds of jobs, and will lead to the creation of nearly 300 new jobs in the city. We've also received $1 million from 4 different state grants that will help us improve the Seward Road corridor. And so I just want to thank council for all your efforts to make us a business-friendly community. Those decisions make us very competitive for investments and growth like we're currently seeing. So that concludes my report. If there's any questions.
You know, Nathaniel, Greg, Aaron, the council had a vision. We've had a vision, but we get together every year, obviously, to tweak that and make sure it's going in the right direction. One of those components that had a top priority was economic development. You guys have killed it. You've taken that vision. You've taken it, from my standpoint, far beyond what I thought we could do within a very short period of time. And evidence with Schneider Electric, which is a phenomenal company, and what they're doing to continue to broaden, it's great. You understated that, and that's humility on your part. But I can tell you from my perspective on council, phenomenal execution, great job in 2024. Hopefully we have a great 2025, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Good job, good job, good job, good job. You know, I'm around doing speeches about the city. I brag on the fact that we haven't raised our income tax since 1955, you know, from 1.5%. And it's because of developments like this that are constantly coming in that are funding these good quality of life things in our city and keep it sustainable. So, good job. All right. Let's let's see here, where we go here. Mr. Davidson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute a job creation incentive grant economic development agreement with Schneider Electric USA, Inc., Schneider Electric IT Corporation, and Schneider Electric IT Mission Critical Services, Inc., for the creation of new jobs and payroll at its facility on Union Center Boulevard and declaring an emergency. Move to suspend the second and third readings.
Motion and second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And move to adopt.
Motion and second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Next, I have an ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute, accept, and administer a grant from the Ohio Department of Transportation, Office of Jobs and Commerce, and a grant from the Ohio Department of Development, 629 Roadway Development Program for improvements to Seward Road at the railroad crossing and declaring an emergency. Move to suspend the second and third readings.
Motion and second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adopt.
Motion and second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next, I have an ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute a utility easement agreement for Wawa redevelopment and declaring an emergency. Move to suspend the second, third readings.
Motion second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adopt.
Motion for adoption. Motion and second. And comments from audience? Comments from council?
Yeah, this is the Wawa over on Route 4, correct?
Route 4 and Sims, yes.
Route 4 and Sim. You know, they have done a phenomenal job of grading that property. I mean, it's like to a perfection. I'm ready to plant something there. When are we building something?
Yeah, good question. My understanding is that the site developer does all the grade work and the underground stuff.
Done a great job.
And then they hand it over to Wawa Corporation, who then builds the buildings. So this is part of the cleaning up some of the last things on the site work. Get rid of old easements that aren't there anymore, and create some new easements so that they, when it's done and finalized, signed, recorded, they can then turn over the property to Wawa Corporation to build the building. That's my understanding, but we get that question a lot. Why is it taking so long?
Greg,
And
you
I
can
don't
eat
have a
off
better
the
answer.
ground there, it's so clean. Like, they have grass growing in the I mean, it's phenomenal what they've done to prep it, so that's all I have.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Public safety, Mr. Timmer. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Elliot, come on up. And you have to state your name and address and your girlfriend's name and, no, your name and address, because we are recording.
My name is Elliot Ampuma. I live at 5664 Longbow Drive in Fairfield Township. I was wondering, what will happen with the land on John Gray Street with the rejected Wawa?
Actually, that was voted on a couple meetings ago, and that was denied. So that land is still for sale.
All right.
Yep. All right. Now, public safety, Mr. Timmer.
We have two ordinances tonight for public safety. The first ordinance is to authorize the city manager to enter into a mutual police aid agreement with Springdale and Forest Park. This agreement clarifies the authority of other jurisdictions as it relates to providing mutual aid in times of emergency. The second ordinance is to authorize the city manager to execute an assistance to firefighters grant application and agreement. This proposal is to secure AFG funding for the purchase of 71 additional sets of firefighting turnout gear. If approved, FEMA would be funding 90% of the estimated $280,000 for this project. Thank you.
All righty. Councilmember Paulus.
Okay, got an ordinance to authorize the city manager to enter into a mutual police aid agreement with Forest Park and Springdale and declaring it an emergency. Motion to suspend second and third reading.
Motion and second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion for adoption.
Motion and second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council?
I have actually just a question, and I'm sorry, Steve, this might be stupid, but, how do you avoid duplication of efforts with this? In other words, Fairfield, everybody dispatching and having way more people there than we need. Did I not understand the letter correctly, or?
So we currently have a mutual aid agreement with both agencies. This is basically just an update to clarify some things and expand on some of the response initiatives, essentially meaning, right now, we have to call and specifically ask them to come assist us.
Right.
To allow them the authority to come into the city. Right now, we don't, with this expanded MOU, we no longer have to specifically ask them. If they're aware of something that is taking place in the city, they can take action on that, since we share our borders with both of them. And it also allows them to come in, and if we request assistance in, say, special events, football games or anything like that, where that we can't specifically staff, it allows them to come in and work those security details as well.
I see the benefit to that. I guess I was just wondering how we wouldn't have, way more personnel there than we need because they don't have to wait for us to ask them.
Well, I think in a major situation like that, the more that you have there, I think in a major incident, you're always probably going to have as much resources as possible coming to the scene until you can determine exactly what's going on and what resources you do need. And then at that point in time, they can go back to their home cities. The mutual aid agreements, mutual aid in law enforcement, we do not request mutual aid very often. And when we do, it's because we don't have the staff to address all the calls that are taking place in the city at the same time. Generally, we call and ask them. But sometimes we do have major events where they will hear on the radio that we're responding to a critical incident. Let's say, for example, an active shooter. When we're dealing with a situation like that, everybody that is going to come, we're probably going to use them. And we're going to need probably more resources than we can get even from other jurisdictions. If
Fair
that
enough.
makes sense.
Yep.
All right. Councilmember Paulus. No. Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I got an ordinance to authorize city manager to execute the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Application and Agreement for personal protective equipment for all firefighters and declaring it an emergency. Motion to suspend second and third reading.
Motion second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion for adoption.
Motion second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, sir. Public Works, City Manager Timmer.
We have one ordinance tonight for Public Works. The ordinance is to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Insight Pipe Contracting for the 2024 Storm Sewer Lining Project. The project will line approximately 1,100 feet of various diameter storm sewers on Becker, Hicks, Sigmund Way, Oak Tree, Homewood, and Production. These corrugated metal pipes were installed in the early 1980s and are approximately 40 years in age. Thank you.
All righty. Councilmember Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an ordinance to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Insight Pipe Contracting LLC for the 2024 Storm Sewer Lining Project and declaring an emergency. I'd like to make a motion to suspend second and third readings, please.
Motion is second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And motion for adoption.
Motion is second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council?
I'd just like to say 1980 doesn't sound like that far along. 40 years. That's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Rounding third and heading for home, finance and budget. Mr. Timmer.
We have 5 ordinances tonight for finance and budget. The first ordinance is to amend section 163.01 titled Vacations of the Codified Ordinance of the City of Fairfield. The change to permanent accrual is a common practice and already in place for one of the city's bargaining units. This modification is expected to simplify the vacation accrual process for both employees, payroll, and HR. The final 4 ordinances are for appropriations. The second ordinance is to establish the annual operating budget for fiscal year 2025. Estimated expenditures total $98,959,789, while estimated revenues total $112,898,475. The third ordinance is for supplemental appropriations. After thorough analysis of the city's fund balances, amounts are recommended for transfer to support ongoing initiatives. At the end of each fiscal year, the Finance Department analyzes all personnel and other fixed cost line items to determine adequacy for fiscal year end. The contractual appropriations total $133,596 and are for the storm sewer lining project. The non-contractual appropriations total $74,450 and include 5 projects from the Information Technology Division and Public Utilities Department. Thank you.
All right. Member Brill, we're off and running.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First is an ordinance to amend section 163.01, vacations of chapter 163, employee provisions of ordinance number 166-84, the codified ordinances of Fairfield, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. I'd like to make a motion to suspend second and third readings.
Second.
Motion is second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion for adoption.
Second.
Motion is second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Second is an ordinance to make estimated appropriations for the expenses and expenditures of the city of Ohio during the period beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025. This is the 2025 operating budget. I'd like to suspend second and third readings.
Second.
Motion is second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion opposed? Motion carried.
Motion for adoption.
Motion is second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Third one is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 166-23 entitled An Ordinance to Make Estimated Appropriations for the Expenses and Other Expenditures of the City of Fairfield, Ohio during a period beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. These are the supplemental appropriations. I'd like to suspend second and third readings.
Motion second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And motion to adopt.
Second. On, comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Fourth is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 166-23 entitled An Ordinance to Make Estimated Appropriations for the Expenses and Other Expenditures of the City of Fairfield, Ohio during a period beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. This is the contractual appropriation for the storm sewer lining. I'd like to make a motion to suspend second and third readings.
Motion second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion for adoption.
Motion second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And last is the ordinance to amend ordinance number 166-23 entitled An Ordinance to Make Estimated Appropriations for the Expenses and Other Expenditures of the City of Fairfield, Ohio during a period beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. These are the 5 non-contractual appropriations. I'd like to make a motion to suspend second and third readings.
Second.
Motion is second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Motion for adoption.
Second.
Motion is second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I want to make a comment. We went through this pretty quick. I didn't jump in quick enough. I want to congratulate the city, Mr. Hacker, Mr. Timmer, and all the department heads. We have an outstanding 2025 operating budget in front of us that we just passed. From a revenue standpoint, the expense side of it, the expenditure side of it, a lot of thought was put into this. A lot of detail went into it. You really looked at this from a business standpoint. I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you for the effort that you put into it. It is the foundational piece that operates and allows us to operate this city. And I didn't want that to go by just a quick pass without recognition to this entire department team led by Mr. Timmer and Mr. Hacker as the CFO. Thank you for what you're doing here. And thanks for the level of detail and the governance around it.
All right. Madam Clerk, you want to read meeting schedule starting in January? This is the last time you will see us.
Monday, January 13th, council manager briefing 6 PM, regular meeting 7 PM. Monday, January 27th, council manager briefing 6 PM, regular meeting 7 PM. And Monday, February 10th, council manager briefing 6 PM, regular meeting 7 PM.
All righty, we will move to executive session.